And there is one man that has been preaching hope across the country. We're speaking about how a nation, Nigeria, and its peoples can get, as I've said, peoples, because all different ethnicity and religion and tongue and tribes in this nation, there's a lot of diversity. And it looks so much that there's some kind of division, but there is need for some kind of unity in this country ahead of the next election. We need to make some decisions together, isn't it? Now, he's been talking about how much he believes that better days are ahead of this nation. He's a co-convener of the National Consultative Front, NCF, a former Nigeria political economist, Professor Pat Utomi. He joins me here live in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight.
It was a great pleasure to be able to join you.
And happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter, indeed.
Hope you had a nice one.
His reason, I was in a fantabulous place this morning. I was in the prison in Onitsha.
Oh,
I accompanied, well, you know, there's plenty of reasons to jail me, but I haven't really been jailed. I went in the company of the prelate, the Catholic Archbishop of Onitsha, to visit the inmates. This is one of his big apostolates, and it was a tremendous time. I was really, really excited.
That's good. You probably had gotten some inspiration from that visit, isn't it?
Absolutely. Set the captives free, you know.
Jesus himself was... experienced some level of when people thought all hope was lost, and he rose on the third day.
Easter is about hope.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable theology of hope. In fact, faith and hope converge. Benedict XVI wrote a nice encyclical, Spe Salve, in which he makes that great point, you know, saved in hope. If he be not resurrected, our faith is completely in vain.
Absolutely.
So that is it.
And in the life of any man or any nation where hope is lost, there's no reason for living.
No.
And I seem to want to agree with the Vice President when he talked about the lesson of Easter and how that can affect our country, Nigeria, that we need hope at this point in time. You have been making videos and talking about hope. Why? It seems you're not the only one talking about hope. Governor Yaya Bello is talking about Hope 23. He wants to be president, and he's talking about Hope 23. Gleaning from Hope 93 of MKO Abiola, you are also talking about hope. What is it about hope and this period?
If you take hope away from people, then there is nothing to strive for. It is this hoping for a better tomorrow that drives people on to do. Even in business, as a business teacher, how do you measure possibilities? You look at what I like to call a hope index. The purchasing managers, what is their perception of how things are going to be looking in the next quarter? And those indicators enable you to look at where the economy might be traveling towards. So hope is a very important ingredient. And one of the things that worry me about the current political contestations is that politicians are not doing enough to craft hope. I don't mean a business hope of just saying hope. No, it's got to be constructed hope based on a certain vision, audacious vision of the future. In fact, today, what I tried to do for this weekend was write 7 op-ed pieces, 7 different op-ed pieces, appearing in several different media.
7 different, or the same, or
different, completely different.
Different topics?
Or different topics completely. I mean, one which I've just seen appeared in the Vanguard is about the youth and where they belong in this great expedition of a rebuilding of a Nigeria. In Business Day, we have provided a manufacturing outlook, how manufacturing can develop. Because the clear goal for me, and I've said in one of those articles, that anybody who cannot show us how we can double GDP in Nigeria in the next 5 to 10 years should not be able to contest the presidency. Because you need a bold imagination. You need a big, hairy, audacious goal that will give hope to the people and make them strive to get themselves out of this mess, this rot, this poverty. Because, as they say in Christian circles, it's not our portion. Look, Nigeria has enough talent, has enough resources to grow this economy. My personal projection, I've said, anybody who can show us how he can double this GDP in 5 to 10 years. So I give them lags, those who are laggards. I can tell you that we can double output in 5 years.
All right.
And
So,
in 3 years, within 8 years, double it again.
So let me, because a lot of Nigerians who are watching now, if anybody is in Kaduna State, is in Zamfara State, is in Niger State, might be looking at a hopeless situation in terms of security. If anybody has lost jobs based on economic situation and listening, I think it's hopeless. If anybody who is perhaps listening or watching and thinking about any other aspect of our lives, maybe think that things are hopeless. I'd like you to, because you have a lot of experience, you at a young age, you were in government. And over the years, you've studied the different sectors of this country and how things can be. I want to particularly like you to draw out 3 areas where Nigerians can see hope. What are these areas?
It's pretty easy. First of all, I want to show an example from history and other countries that is possible. Because it's when people say, oh, it's talk. I've seen it happen. When I was finishing my PhD, my favorite area of interest was Latin America. I was really fascinated by the work in Latin America, the modernization thesis and all of that. And Latin America began to flounder. Brazil, by model, at the point I just got fed up with Brazil. It seemed like the country of great potential that would never go anywhere. And then I switched to Southeast Asia. My interest became the so-called tiger economies as they were emerging in the 80s and 90s. I traveled there several times a year, so that became my arena. And then from nowhere, Brazil begins its return. It is what started to happen in Brazil, first under Henrique Fernando Cardoso, and then Inácio Lula da Silva, that assures me that this country can turn around fast. It just has a few reasonable, serious-minded people driving it. Look, I got a chance to exchange views with President Cardoso here in Lagos some years ago, yes, because I had challenged him as an academic when he was at the Economic Commission for Latin America. And I said, look, this dependency theory, the dependistas as they were called, it's very elegant theorizing, but I don't see the redemptive possibilities for the Brazilian people. That never left his mind. And what he did as finance minister when he became so, and then as president, was how do we redeem the people of Brazil? The challenge in Nigeria now is how do we redeem the Nigerian people? A number of things are important there. Intellect, so that you know clearly what you're trying to do. Compassion. I mean, you have to feel for the people, leave them.
Are leaders not
and
compassionate here in Nigeria?
No, come on, Shane, you can't say that. Can you say that people who are buying new SUVs, Abuja is the biggest display of brand new SUVs I know of anywhere I can see in the world. When the people are not eating, how can those be compassionate leaders? How can we be flying presidential planes around the place as if they are taxi kabu-kabu, and we're compassionate in a people hungry, starving? How can we be so relaxed when our neighbors are dying? That's not compassion. You see it in the action of the leader. And that's really where the starting point is. But to come back to where,
yeah,
let me say to you that we can bridge as a low-hanging fruit the state of unemployment very quickly. I have boasted to someone that within a week, as president of this country, we will put an order that will put every unemployed graduate polytechnic university to work. 100,000 naira assured. So the question is, where will the money come from?
100,000.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of money.
Plenty of money. Where will it come from?
I don't want to mention some profession now.
Professors are not being paid 400,000 a month.
I'm even saying that some lawyers in some chambers are being paid 40,000, 50,000.
Yes.
That's a reality. So some graduates earn 25,000 naira.
So
that's a lot of money when you say 100,000. How would that happen?
How will it happen? That's what I want you to ask me, and you've asked. One sure way of going is, look, this planet is in period, okay? Our planet is in trouble. This continent is being looked to help save the planet by greening its forests, stopping the Sahara and all of that. And we can get the world to pay for that. By just saying to all these graduates, you become part of a green army. And I mean, this program is too short for me to give an outline of how this will be deployed, but just to wall and prevent the advance of the Sahara and provide enough of those trees to deal with the carbon challenges of our world, we can get enough. But let me even keep that aside, because I know that can happen with people who know what they're doing negotiating these deals. Even the graft in Abuja, if you cut it, if you stop wasting money on those people in Abuja, you will pay those people.
When you say
money.
those people, who are
the
those?
Politicians. Your friends, my friends. They are my friends, you know. Look, in the 60s.
How have you been wasting money on them?
What are they doing? What are they doing? Why are they driving all those SUVs? Why does the National Assembly cost us more money than education, which is where we will catch up from? Why?
But those things, unfortunately, those things are statutory. They are cast.
We made them so. Look, when President Obasanjo was president, National Assembly didn't cost us as much as it's costing us today. And I was critical of him even then. But it's now much, much worse.
Do we need less lawmakers?
Legislators.
Do we need less lawmakers?
Besides the fact that we need law, we need to remunerate them much differently than there be. Look, politics is service. Okay? It is not a profession. I have said several times, anybody who is in public life is in government is paying him for 12 straight years, 3 terms, without them breaking and going somewhere, is a social parasite. Politics is something for people to take off some of their time to go and give service and come back to what they do for a living. It is not a living, okay? In the 60s, when we had the parliament, and these were parliaments that, you know, ministers came from them, everything, not this kind of National Assembly. These fellows came from their law firms, came from their farms, came into Lagos, stayed in legible flats for some days, made laws, got pittance allowance, got into the bus. Many of them couldn't fly, got in the bus and went back to Port Harcourt or wherever. I keep referring to Onyeka Onwenu, who presents a fantastic model with her father. He was a federal legislator and was principal of an Etonian high school in Port Harcourt. His lifestyle did not change.
Can you say that again? So, I mean, so a lot of people might be looking at or thinking that you are describing another country. This is Nigeria.
I'm talking Nigeria.
Where Onyeka Onwenu, that we all know.
That we all know.
The singer, the former, I mean,
yes.
TV host.
Yes.
And our father was a lawmaker, federal lawmaker. And was a principal of a secondary
school in Port Harcourt.
In Port Harcourt.
And rode around on his bicycle.
Can we have that kind of Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. Why do we have this and not that Nigeria?
Do you still want to be a president, Prof?
Why not?
In 2023?
If we can fix it, why not?
Are you working towards it? Because
I'm working as a group.
You're talking about a model. A lot of millions of Nigerians, tonight we're selling hope. Yeah. Because the season calls for such. Yeah. And if we're doing that, and people like you've talked about good governance. You've talked about how economy can get back on track. And if you are outside all the time, how do we then get it? Because if the models are not right, then there is a problem.
What we're working on.
So the question is, Prof, are you throwing your hat in the ring?
We're working to run as a collective with essentially collegial leadership, a group of us. Whoever at the point we decide should be president.
You've not decided yet?
No. We are on this table. We're working at it. By in next 2 or so weeks, we'll know who we say should go forward.
And you're using the ADC?
We're using several parties that are together.
So it's going to be a conglomerate.
Absolutely. I mean, just like Chief Olufalaye and Shinkafi came from different parties, got together to be the ticket in 99. We're going to have all these parties, includes the ADC, APM, PRP, all of those. In fact, sometime in the next week, Professor Tahiru Jega, Usman Bugaje, Tuai Godalo, myself, and a bunch of people will go to the center of Nigeria and will unfold.
Where is the center of Nigeria?
It's a place in Abuja that is said to be the geographic center of Nigeria, I never measured myself, and unfold an agenda for a complete turnaround of Nigeria. And as I've said, we can double the GDP of this country in 5 years.
So in 2 weeks, just a moment before we go into that, so that we clarify for those who are watching tonight, and we will know from your group, because you have between now and the end of June to make up your mind on the ticket that you would like.
Right.
But what I'm not clear about is, it's not provided in our laws. If you want to merge, you merge.
Let me tell you how
you
we're
have
doing
to use a single political platform.
Yeah, no, the way we're doing it is the two activities going on. There's fusion.
Okay.
There are some parties that are going to become one, and that's different, but they're still part of a group. There are some parties that will retain their identity, but we jointly decide, okay, maybe you are a Kaduna dominant party. You know, under your banner, select the people who will run in Kaduna, and everybody backs you. And then we get candidates who are the people that are thrown up by all these other parties. Together, all of them, who is the best in this park? And here's the person we'll go with as part of a collective that will be president in this college, offer Nigeria a new direction. That is the thrust of the thinking.
So there's going to be a merger.
Merger and coalition.
Okay. So there will be a coalition.
Yes.
A coalition is not known on the ballot, or is an ideological concept.
It's an ideological coalition,
yeah.
And one candidate will go from out of that coalition for an office like the president.
Okay, and it's not too late for a merger now?
No, we don't. That's why we're not dealing with merger. Some people have already agreed
to the coalition.
Do that. Yes, that's
to the
coalition and fusion.
Okay.
That's already agreed.
And you think that this is going to be strong enough? I mean, we had
Absolutely.
a strong merger in 2014 that caused a stir politically in Nigeria today, and which, of course, is what we've seen today for 2 terms and 1 election.
But the party did not emerge from it. That's part of the mess.
APC emerged from the merger.
Is APC a party?
What is it?
I was one of those. I carried the APC card for years. It's a party.
But you were the
you
one
cannot
of those
talk.
what would you describe? Why do you say it's not a party?
It's just a group of people who wanted power. I mean, it was clear to me the night after the election.
How?
Which is
How
why,
was it clear? I mean,
because I looked at the body language around, and all that mattered was power, not service to the Nigerian people. I saw it, and I made, look, and I can see this publicly now. A couple of months into this thing in 2015, I got a call from, cabinet hadn't even been formed at the time. But I had seen everything that was wrong, and I'd begun to speak publicly about how to do right. And I got a call from Colonel Abubakar Umar and said, you know, I'm glad you have a conscience, because everybody is still keeping quiet, but you are pointing to things that are going wrong in the very beginning. So the point is that I knew within weeks of 2015 that the party was going to go nowhere in terms of transforming Nigeria and the lives of people. It was all over. It was clear. It was obvious that the essence of it all was power, not service. I've talked to you about how I have gone several times. Look, let us try and provide knowledge to these people who have been elected on the platform of this party. This is where we think our party should be going. These are the values that can drive them. Look, values shape human progress. You throw a bunch of people together that have no shared values, you get what we've got, a collapse of culture. And because of that collapse of culture, there's no progress. You can see we're back like 30, 40 years from where we used to be. So
that's why you said APC is not a political party?
Yes, it's not a party. Like
what
I said,
would you say it is?
It's an election machine. It's an election machine. Just like PDP, by the way.
Oh, PDP is the same?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad just today I said so in one newspaper, and I think Umarado said the same thing in another newspaper. Look, for continue to make progress, we've got to get people who believe in something, who are willing to sacrifice to make that thing happen, and who put ideas systematically together, driven by passion for the people, service to the people, not power, not how many SUVs escort them. You know, I keep talking about my Kenya experience. Many, many years ago, I used to go frequently to Nairobi. And he's passed on now, a famous Kenyan mathematician, became a journalist. And we used to sit in the Thorn Tree Cafe of the New Stanley Hotel in Nairobi. And ministers would just walk in and come and meet us, have a chat, MPs. Simple life. Nigerian politics has become a world of big men who want to turn to big issues away from big men. Because they've not served Nigeria well. I mean, how can we be prostrate if we have been served well in the last 2 decades? We are lying prostrate with all our potential as a country. And we must say no. Nigerians must take their country back. And so first, I read Waziri Adio talking about where is the agenda. Waziri should go and try and read all the things I wrote today. 7 op-ed pieces. That's the agenda. What to do to transform manufacturing. What to do to transform the very basic challenge of how we prepare our young people for the next challenges that face us. What to do in the tech space. What to do, I mean, at least those are my positions to my team, and we're going to be arguing about those issues. But the goal must be that GDP in this country must be double. Look, yes, it took the United States 60 years to double GDP. It took Britain 50 years to do same. It took Japan only 20-something years, 35 years to do that. But it took South Korea 11 years. With technology and everything, the tech
How long can it take us in Nigeria?
That's what I'm saying. It must, if we don't have a plan to double GDP in 5 years, we should get out of the way. We shouldn't even come and try to run for office. There must be a clear plan.
So for a lot of people, for the laymen who are watching right now, and for those of us who are not economically savvy, GDP is a quality
output, quantity of output of all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we're producing.
And then, of course, we share per capita, given the population. And this population that we fear can become the source of our demographic dividend. And China and India have shown how a youth bulge, if you invest appropriately in that young population, can be rockets that will take off your economy. But what are we doing? We're killing the educational system. They can't even get to sit down with ASU and make sense. How can a university professor be paid what they are paid and the fellows in National Assembly are paid what they are paid? In this country, Shehu.
Is a misnomer?
Total. Professor Elebute, the late Professor Elebute, I remember he used to say to us, the day he was appointed Professor of Medicine at the University of Lagos, his salary was higher than that of the Prime Minister of Nigeria. So what are we doing today? Our values are upside down. What is the output of a cabinet minister in Nigeria? What is the output compared to a professor of medicine? Compare. Why are all the doctors going? Why are they leaving the country? Because we can't get our priorities right.
Can you change that if you become president?
Absolutely, that should be the goal. And we should be able to, if this economy begins to grow, we will reverse that flow. What happened to India was diaspora kickback into the economy. What happened to China was significantly, even going back to Japan, the Meiji Restoration, post-Meiji Restoration, the diaspora returning from Germany particularly stimulated the manufacturing takeoff of Japan. And it can happen in Nigeria if we have serious leaders.
All right. I'll ask you some very personal and critical questions now because we're going to wrap up quickly. You sat on your table and I made this is probably the 3rd time that I've made reference to it, and you drafted what should be the spine of the APC working document. Yourself, the likes of, I think the VP was part of that team.
Yeah, VP keeps talking about it. He refers to it all the time, yes.
Yeah, and a few others that were on that team. If you get the opportunity to get a ticket, and from someone like the VP, I mean, he's also throw his hat in the ring, what would 2023 look like?
It'd be interesting to have a proper conversation. You know, politics is rational public conversation. The great contemporary German philosopher Jürgen Habermas says that modernity and democracy are defined by rational public conversation. The problem with Nigeria is we escape or run away from it. Look at the funny thing they're talking about, consensus, a PDP and APC. That's nonsense. Democracy is about contest and contestation. And you're talking about consensus. What's consensus? My friend, cool down, calm down, so we can share this thing well,
It's
my
an
friend.
electoral act, Prof.
What?
Consensus.
Doesn't mean that it makes sense.
It's a third leg of election.
Does it mean that it makes sense in terms of what democracy really means? It is a way to run away from discussing the issues. Yeah, you're complaining that we don't know the issues. We don't know. How can you know the issues when you consensus the thing? So you discuss the matter, you debate it, and let's get the best ideas.
So you're going into an arena with very strong men. I mean, strong men talking about PDP, APC, and a few other political
What makes
parties.
them strong?
Because they're being on the ground.
Because they rig elections.
Okay.
They rig elections. What ground? Count the number of votes that were cast. Take the manipulated ones. Take the bought ones. And then take what was probably voted. How many people voted? Right now, the nature of our movement, and we have participating civil society groups, whether it is a cooperative that has millions of members, whether it's the labor movement, that are all part of this coalescing effort. We already have registered more people than voted for, if you count all the votes as vote, those who run our country. So I'm clear in my head that if there's democracy, we'll beat these fellows next year.
Professor Utomi, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I think we'll talk more, especially on the day that we get to hear that you are a presidential candidate again. Thank you so much, Prof. And I wish you the very best. Thank you so much. And happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Let's take a break, everyone. And when we return, a former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, he joins me from Kano. He will be talking to us about internal affairs of the PDP. That gets our attention tonight, the zoning arrangement and the contest for the party's ticket. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.